Okay, so we got our NFL Week 12 winners and losers. Now, I want to say something. I want to say something very surprising. This is the first week where those damn New York Jets aren't on my losers list, but that does not mean they're losers this week. So keep that in mind. Anyway, I got my number one loser of the week, and that is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, why are they my number one loser this week, Mario? I'll tell you why they're my number one loser this week. Not only did they lose to the Browns in the 27-25 loss, which by the way, that wasn't a bad game. They still lost the game though. Not only did they lose 10 straight games, but they are eliminated from any playoff contention, which is the number one losing stat on this list. And not only that, because of their elimination from the playoffs and their losing 10 straight games, they have also fired their general manager, which that we'll talk about in a later video. So they are my number one losers this week. My second loser this week is the Panthers defense. Let me tell you something, all right, Mario? You and me were watching this damn game. Man, I could go off on these guys right now, and I'm going to. There was way too many damn mistakes. Whether it be too many penalties, bad reads, laziness, you name it. This team was up by 11 in the second half, and they let go of 12 unanswered points. They lost that game 28-27. That damn defense needs to step up. We got a lot of nice pieces on defense, like Derek Brown, Jeremy Chin, Brian Burns, Shaq Thompson, Trey Boston, Dante Jackson. And this defense just there's more people, but those are like the main ones. But like this defense makes way too many mistakes, and they need to minimize their mistakes. They haven't done that. They haven't been doing that. I don't care about that 20-0 win against the Lions anymore. Because at the end of the day, you go into this game thinking that the defense is going to do their job, and they didn't do their job. I can't do it with this defense. This defense needs to step up and do their job. I'm not saying don't make mistakes because you're gonna make mistakes, but there's way too many of them in this game, and there was way too many of them in many other games too. This year and last year and a couple years after before that too. With that said, my number three loser this week is Kendall Hinton, who was the practice squad wide receiver for the Denver Broncos. He actually started as quarterback. Now I know you could go up on the record and say you can't really make fun of this kid. This is like his first time in the playing in the NFL, and it's not even his position. Fine, I get all of that, but the stats are horrendous. I mean, this dude didn't even throw a completion until the third quarter of the damn game, for crying out loud. 1 for 9 completion, attempts, 13 yards, no touchdowns, and interception. I mean, come on, that's terrible. That's him. Kendall Hinton is the reason why the New York Jets are not on my damn list this week. But like I said, they're still losers, so keep that at heart. Anyway, let me go to my week 12 winners. My first one is obviously Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl MVP. He's a former MVP. Call him what you want. He's a young GOAT. He's a future GOAT. We all know this. He went 37 for 49 completion attempts, 462 yards. That's insane, by the way. 3 touchdowns in the 27-24 win against the Bucks in Tampa Bay. I can't picture it in any better way. Um, Number two winner is Tyreek Hill, his pass receiver, 13 receptions, 269 9 yards, 3 touchdowns. And by the way, this man had 207 yards in the first quarter. He had 62 yards throughout the rest of the game, which isn't that impressive. But in one quarter to have over 200 yards is ridiculous. And he had 2 touchdowns in that same quarter too. And my third winner this week is Derrick Henry, 27 rushing attempts, 178 yards, 3 touchdowns, best running back in the league, whatever you want to call him. And the Titans blow up the Colts in a divisional game and they retake first place. So that is my winners and losers for week 12. Mario, I'm going to give it to you now. Who are your winners and losers this week?
Well, first I'll say, I'll start off with my losers, okay, and then with the winners, like you did. So the first losers I got, I think the number one loser this week was the Raiders. I mean, when you talk about the Raiders, dude, losing 43-6 to the Atlanta Falcons, it's something like you just can't do. You know, it's a way you cannot lose. You know, you guys are in playoff contention. You guys need to play as good as you can, as possible seed you can in these playoffs, and they just didn't do it. I mean, they came in there and they basically just didn't play well at all. I mean, we'll start with Derek Carr. Derek Carr went 22 for 34, 215 yards, no TDs, and an interception. So it wasn't the best stats by him. And then you go to like the offense, dude, and their best guy was Hunter Renfrow. He had 7 catches for 73 yards. And then after that, like it just gets worse. Like they had 1 interception and that was it. Defense was all right, but they just couldn't click. They couldn't capitalize. And then when you look at what the Falcons were doing, like Matt Ryan, 22 for 39, 185 yards, 2 TDs, and interception. He had a decent game. And then you look at somebody like Rose Smith, who had 12 rushes, 65 yards for the Falcons and a touchdown. That really helps for them. And then you go to receiving, and like Calvin Ridley was their best guy. He had 6 receptions and 50 yards. So like what makes this even worse for the Raiders though is that they don't even like is that the Atlanta Falcons didn't even play that good. You know what I'm saying? Deion Jones had a pick 6 for 67 yards. But the Atlanta Falcons didn't even play that good. And you still got destroyed. That's the problem. That's what makes me question this Raiders team heading into the playoffs. Is if you guys play okay and you can't beat a team that is struggling right now, then what am I supposed to believe in the playoffs? Because the Raiders are either really good or they're really bad. It's like every single week it's going to be a week where they're really good or they're really bad. And this was the week where they were really bad, and that's why they're my losers. I'll go to number 2. The New York Jets. See, I know you like to talk about the New York Jets. Well, I'll do it for you. Okay. I mean, they lost 3. I'm expecting that 1 win this year, but they just can't seem to get it against anybody. And I mean, it doesn't get any better for them neither. They're eliminated from playoffs, so I don't expect a lot from them except for 1 win, which is somehow even more hard for them to do. But going to some Jet stats, Sam Darnold, 16 for 27, 197 yards, 2 interceptions, no TDs. Frank Gore, 18 rushes, 74 yards. That was okay. And then their leading receiver was Brashad Perryman. He had 4 receptions, 79 yards. And then Denzel Mims had 4 receptions, 67 yards. But other than that, like really nothing happened. Defense wasn't clicking. I think the most tackles they had on defense was 6, which is not a good thing. Oh no, I'm sorry, 8. They had 8. That was the most tackles they had on defense was 8, and stuff like that is the reason why the Jets are losing, because they cannot capitalize. They just can't seem to outperform the other team, and for that, the Jets are the second loser. Third is the Colts, and I kind of expected the Colts to lose after DeForest Buckner got tested positive for COVID, and because he couldn't play that game, I expected the Bucs to lose. And I mean, they lost in the worst way possible. I mean, they let Derrick Henry run all over them. They let Ryan Tannehill have a decent game, which he shouldn't be having against them. If you're that big of a defense, Ryan Tannehill should not be having any type of game against you. I mean, like they're 13 for 22, 221 yards and a TD for a game where Ryan Tannehill didn't have to do much and he still did a decent job. That's a problem. And Derrick Henry had 27 rushes for 175 yards and 3 TDs. Again, that's the one thing that they should have worked on is stopping Derrick Henry. You stop that primary option to score, and you focus on the secondary option, which would have been Ryan Tannehill and the receivers. And then AJ Brown, 4 receptions, 95 yards, and then Corey Davis had 3 receptions, 70 yards, and it just didn't seem it just wasn't right for them. And then Barron Borders had 1 interception, and then it just wasn't a good game for the Colts defense, for a defense that is so consistent. It just wasn't a good game for them. And I think that showed the type of impact DeForest Buckner had. And we predicted that it was going to be a minor impact, but still an impact. I predicted that the Colts were going to lose by a touchdown. That didn't happen. The Titans beat the Colts like the Colts beat them 2 weeks ago. So with that being said, it's tough, man. Like it's getting tough. It's getting more tough and tough in that AFC South, and anybody could take it.
I agree.
Anybody could take it, and because it was that big of a win, that's why the Colts are losers this week, because they didn't capitalize on the win, which they could have done. Now going to winners, Devontae Parker, he had 8 receptions, 119 yards, and a 20-3 win against the Jets. In my opinion, those are winner stats, so I think he definitely deserves to be called a winner. And then some guy that I don't really call a winner a lot, but we're gonna call him a winner today, Nate. Kirk Cousins, okay?
How the hell is he your winner?
Cousins, what do you know how he's my winner? When you have 300 plus yards as a quarterback with 3 TDs and no picks, I think that counts for some winner stats.
All right, I'll go.
So I mean, you want to look at what he's done. 34 for 45, 307 yards and 3 TDs. And not only that, he had 3 rushes for 19 yards. And that's not big stats, but for Kirk Cousins, that's big right there. For him to rush for 19 yards, that is big. So we got to give Kirk Cousins credit for staying in the game. And let's not forget, he had a clutch drive against your Carolina Panthers. So for that, Kirk Cousins gets a win for me. But you know what? He's got to do it consistently now. And I'm not talking about that because that's too big of a topic, but Kirk Cousins is my second winner. And third is the Atlanta Falcons. You know, you're a team that's struggling. A lot of people are making jokes about you blowing leads. Well, yeah, the Raiders, you definitely did not blow it. And you weren't even close to blowing it. Again, 43-6. I gotta count the Atlanta. I gotta give credit to the Atlanta Falcons. I think they played a really good game against the Raiders, who are a playoff contention team. I think that Matt Ryan had a really good game. I think that overall the Atlanta Falcons did a good job detaining the Oakland Raiders. Not Oakland, I'm sorry, the Las Vegas Raiders from doing anything. And so with that being said, that's why the Atlanta Falcons are my third winners. So I got to give credit to those three teams. I got to take away credit for the other three teams. And honestly, for the NFL, it was a good week.
It was a good week. You know, for the winners, congratulations. That's for the losers. Get to the drawing board and fix your problems.